Namaskar Mitro. Today we are going to do temple architecture. So we'll start with temple architecture. So we will have to go behind like from the Harappan time. So architecture during the Harappan time was as we have read in the books, the drainage system, the rectangular intersecting roads, the sanitary system were main features, and urban planning was highly developed during this time. Then we see in the Mauryan period there were monolithic pillars. There were finely carved capitals like the Bull Capitol and the Sarnath Capitol. So the stupas were also built during that time. During mainly Ashoka's time got impetus as far as stupas are concerned. Then the surface was built with bricks. So stone was a feature which was used during Ashokan time. So prior to the Ashokan time, wood was mainly used for construction, but it was from that time that stone was being used, and rock cut architecture was very much famous. Then we had viharas and the chaityas during that period. Then during the Shunga and the Satavahanas, we have an early classic architecture with carved railings and gateways around these Buddhist shrines. During the Kushans, sculpture developed. So we have Gandhara School of Art, Mathura School of Art, Amravati School of Art. So sculpture developed, and the emperor himself was declared that he was a divine authority. And Buddha, for the first time in a human form, came up during these sculptures. And nextly, the Gupta period was during which the beginning of the Hindu temples started, means vividly kind of. So the temple at Devgar, then Udayagiri caves in Orissa, the Vaishnavite temple in Vidisha are all examples. So now this was basically what happened in the ancient times, and now we'll move towards concentrate on our topic, that is temple architecture. So what are the basic features of a Hindu structural temple? Let's see it. As we are seeing in the figure, we see it like there is a Garbhagriha, then there is a Gopuram, that's the entrance, then there is a Jagmohan, which is in front of the Garbhagriha, and what we see is the Garbhagriha. So it literally means the womb house. Garbha, that's womb, and is a cave like a sanctum. And in earliest temples, we see a small cubical structure with a small entrance, but later on it grew in a larger complex. So Garbhagriha is made to house the main icon, that is, the main deity is placed in the Garbhagriha to which the temple is dedicated, and it's the focal point which has this ritual attention. Then nextly we have the Mandapa. So Mandapa is basically the entrance to the temple. So it's kind of large number of worshippers sit there, and to incorporate the space so that सब तो सब गर्भगृह में नहीं जा सकते. So one by one they will go. So there is a mandapa, and in this mandapa dances and other such entertainments also were practiced. So if we see the Indian culture, we have various dance forms, we have various temple festivals. So all this was performed in the mandapas, and some of the multiple mandapas in different sizes, like मंडप के भी टाइप होते हैं, जैसे अर्ध मंडप, मंडपा, then महामंडप, depends on the complexity of the temple complex. Okay, so now next we'll see the शिखरा or the विमाना. तो ये शिखरा विमाना जो है, it's kind of in North Indian temples we called it shikara, and in South Indian temples we called it vimana. So it's a carving shape. तो जो गर्भगृह के ऊपर का जो मेन है, तो ऊपर का जो फ्लोर है, जो ऊपर हमको दिखता है ऊपर से क्यूबिकल शेप में, ट्रेंगुलर शेप में ऊपर जाता है ऐसा, तो उसको शिखरा बोलते हैं नॉर्थ में, एंड इन साउथ वी कॉल्ड इट विमाना. So here is a basic Hindu temple, we are seeing it, and the various parts like the Amalaka, see it right at the top, and then we have the Kalasha, then the Rekha Deul, then other things are also there. Okay, so Amalaka क्या है? So it's a stone disc-like structure at the top of the temple, and it's very common in North Indian temples. Then the Kalasha is there, and it's the topmost point of the temple, and again it's seen in the North Indian temples. The Antaral is basically the transition area between the Garbhagriha and temple's main hall, that is the Mandapa. तो जो ट्रांजिशन एरिया है मूविंग फ्रॉम द मंडपा टू द गर्भगृह इज कॉल्ड एज अंतराल और द वेस्टिबुल. Then we have the Jagati. Jagati is a raised platform for sitting and praying in, which is common in the North Indian temples. Next is the Vahana, and Vahana is a vehicle of the temple's main deity along with the standard pillar or dwaj, which is placed axially before the center. Like we have for Shiva, the Vahana is नंदी. तो शिवा टेम्पल के सामने आपको नंदी काफ़ी बार दिखेगा, एंड डिपेंड्स ऑन द डीटी द vehicle is there. Now we'll classify the Indian temple. So basically the broad classification is between two. Like in North India there is a Nagara style, and in South India there is a Dravida style, and the mixture of two is found in the Vesara style. So this Vesara is basically mixing of Nagara and Dravida, and as you see in the figure, we have the Nagara which is in north, Dravida which is in south, and what we see is like the Dravida is a big kind of complex thing. So in south we find the temples are very complex, and they are bigger in size, even they have large entrances, and there are gateways and boundaries to the temple. Unlike in other side we don't see much of this. So that's the basic difference between the two. And Dravida style में outside and inside both are vividly decorated, and complexity is there, but in Nagara style it is quite simpler comparatively. Outer side is not that decorated, but inner side is there. So that's the basic difference. And now we'll move towards sculptures, iconography and ornamentation. So iconography is basically about the images of the deities, and it consists of the identification of the image based on certain symbols and mythology associated with them. So the fundamental myth and meaning of the deity may remain the same for centuries, but जो सोशल पॉलिटिकल जोग्राफिकल कंटेक्स्ट है उस हिसाब से हमको वहाँ का ये मिलता है, मतलब डीटी से मिलता है. जैसे अभी दुर्गा देवी है, तो कुछ जगह पे उनका वाहन जो है वो शेर दिखाया गया है, लेकिन कुछ जगह पे उनका वाहन बाघ दिखाया गया है. तो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द लोकल कल्चर एंड द टाइम्स of that period. So every region and period has some distinctness, and there is regional variation, and the temple is covered with elaborate sculptures and ornament that form the fundamental part of its conception. And the placement of an image in a temple is carefully planned. For instance, river goddess Ganga and Yamuna are visually found at the entrance in the Nagara temple. तो नगारा टेम्पल में एंट्रेंस के जगह पे वी फाइंड गंगा एंड यमुना, बट इन सदर्न द्रविड़ा टेम्पल्स वी फाइंड द्वारपालास at the gateways. So similarly there are mithunas also, which are erotic images, so which are at the outside. Then we have the Navgrahas, the 9 auspicious planets, and the Yakshas are also placed at the entrance to guard. So it's basically this that it's varied from place to place, and various forms of the aspect of the main divinity are to be found on the outer wall of the sanctum. And Ashtadikpalas, these are the deities of direction. So 8 directions are on the outer walls of the sanctum. So that's what we see. Now the subsidiary shrines around the main temple are dedicated to the family or incarnations of the main deity. Okay, so subsidiary shrines मतलब मेन श्राइन के अलावा जो आजू बाजू श्राइन्स रहते हैं तो वो सब फैमिली बोल सकते हैं. जैसे शिव जी का अगर मंदिर होगा तो बीच में शिव जी का पिंड होगा, लेकिन आजू बाजू में देयर कैन बी गणपति's टेम्पल, देन there can be Hanuman temple and kind of things. And the various elements of ornamentation are Gavakska, Vyala, Kalpalata, Amalaka and Kalasha. So the basic Nagara temple architecture is seen in the figure, and we see that there is a Shikara, Garbhagriha, Amalaka, Kalashka, the various Mandapa, the Antaral, and we see the direction, how the direction is like the direction is such that सुबह का जो सूर्य है, तो सूरज का जो प्रकाश है वो बराबर डीटी के ऊपर गिरे सुबह सुबह जब सनराइज होता है, तो see the east side. So that's the basic feature. Now Nagara style is something which is famous in northern India, and the entire temple is built on a stone platform with steps leading up to it. But unlike in South India, it doesn't usually have elaborate boundary walls or gateways. So earliest temples had only one shikara, but in the later periods multiple shikaras came up. So that shows the evolution. And Garbhagriha is always located directly under the tallest tower. Okay, and the Nagara temples can be subdivided mainly into three based on the shikara type. So like this is not important, but if you know it, it's good. So the first type is Latina or Rekha Prasada. So it's the most simplest and the common type, and it's a square at the base and the walls curve or slope inwards to a point on the top. So Latina types are mainly used for housing the Garbhagriha. Okay, Rekha Prasada. So, and later on complexity increased. Instead of single tower, multiple small towers came up, and it was like a cluster, like a rising mountain type. And basically this is what it is. Then we have the Fansama type shikara. So it's a broader and shorter than a Latina type. The roof is composed of several slabs. So roof का difference है इधर. So it's composed of several slabs and that gently rise to a single point over the center of the building. Unlike the Latina ones, which looks like sharply rising. So Latina is sharply rising, and Famsana is kind of broader and shorter. And the Famsana roofs do not curve inwards. Instead, they slope upward on a straight incline. And in many North Indian temples, the Famsana type is used for mandapas, while the main Garbhagriha is housed in the Latina building. Okay. Then the next is Vallabhi type shikara. So these are rectangular buildings with a roof that rises into a vaulted chamber. Okay, and this edge of the vaulted chamber is found like the bamboo or the wooden wagons that would have been drawn by bullocks in the ancient types. तो वेगन जैसा कुछ दिखता है. And this form is influenced by the ancient building forms that were already in existence. Okay, and there are many important temples as far as Nagara style is concerned, like the one in Khajuraho, the Shiva temple of Kandariya Mahadev temple. Then in Orissa we have many temples. Then we'll see it in the next slides. So basically शिखरा के ऊपर हमने तीन टाइप देखे थे नगारा के, तो लेटिना स्टाइल, द फमसाना स्टाइल एंड द थर्ड स्टाइल. ओके, now we will see divide Nagara temples according to the regions. Like in central India, how are the Nagara temples? So in central India we see that the temples grew from simple four-pillared structure to large complex, and two such temples, like the one at Udaygiri, which is at the outskirts of Vidisha, and the temple at Sachi, which was a Buddhist site. So the early temples were modest, and there was a small mandapa, and some of these oldest serving structural temples are in Madhya Pradesh. The ancient temples in UP, MP, Rajasthan are made up of sandstone, and then we'll see example like the Dashavatara Vishnu temple of Devgarh, UP. So here we see a Panchayatala style of architecture. तो पंचायतला स्टाइल कैसा है कि देर विल बी 5 shrines. One will be the main shrine which will be in the middle, and on the 4 sides there will be subsidiary shrines on the 4 corners. So Dashavtara Vishnu temple is a classic example of Panchayatla style of architecture, and this is basically how it looks. The other examples are of the Lakshmana temple and the Vishwanatha temple, as we are seeing in the figure. And these are basically Vishnu temples, and these temples are like बीच में विष्णु का एक shrine रहेगा, main shrine, and 4 subsidiary shrines will be incarnations of Vishnu. So that's the thing which we see in Panchayatla style. And then we have the various grand doorway of west facing temple. So west facing is less common and has the sculptures of Ganga on the left and Yamuna on the right. Okay, and the Shikara is a Latina Prasada style, which makes it clear that it's an early example of classical Nagara style. And these are the details. We won't go into details. And the next temple we see is the Khajuraho temple of MP. So it's a UNESCO heritage site, and it was built in the 10th century, and it was patronized by the Chandela kings. And we see it's a huge complex, and there are different types of temples in the Khajuraho complex. So these all are made up of sandstone, and the largest one is the Kandariya Mahadev temple, which is attributed to King Ganda. And we have the Lakshmana temple dedicated to Vishnu. It was built by Chandela king Dhanga, and all the towers or the shikaras of the temple rise high upward in a curved pyramidal fashion. So Khajuraho temple के बारे में ये है कि there is extensive erotic sculptures which are found here, and but these are just 10% of the total sculptures. And I have read somewhere that these erotical sculptures are on the outer side of the Khajuraho temple. So a kind of a message is been given that while entering the temple, in the inside of the temple, you should keep all these things outside. All these moha maya and all this calm should be kept outside, and inside you should be pure with no things in mind, and the spirituality should be the highest epitome. So that's basically the message which is tried to be given. And these Khajuraho temples are highly stylish with typical features, and there are many temples at Khajuraho. Most of them are dedicated to the Hindu gods. However, there are Jain temples as well, as the Chausant Yogini temple. So what is this Chausant Yogini temple? This is a small square shrine dedicated to the esoteric devis or goddess associated with the rise of the tantric worship after the 7th century. Now we will see that Khajuraho temple में डांस फेस्टिवल भी होते हैं हर साल. तो it's conducted by MP government, and this was basically about central India. And now we move towards West India. So West India में राजस्थान, गुजरात और वेस्टर्न मध्य प्रदेश कवर हो जाता है. And while sandstone is the commonest, we see black basalt in the 10th and the 12th century. So like we have Jain temple in Mount Abu, which is made up of white marble, and also we have some artistic traditions of the region mixed with the post-Gupta style, which gave to a distinct style of culture. So the first temple which we will see under West India is the Sun temple, which is at Modhera in Gujarat. So there are 2 Sun temples. So one is in Kolark, which is near in Apna Orissa, and one Sun temple is in Modhera, Gujarat. So don't mix it, right? So the Sun temple in Kolark is at Bhubaneswar, and it's called as Black Pagoda. But now we are focusing on Modhera Sun temple. So this temple was built by Raja Bhimdev, one of the Solanki dynasty, in the 11th century. and the Solankis were the branch of the later Chalukyas, and there is a massive rectangular stepped tent called as Surya Kund. तो जो डुबकी लगाते हैं ना, तो वो सूर्य कुंड वहाँ पे है मोधेरा टेम्पल में. And 108 miniature shrines are carved in between the steps inside the tank. Great, na? And huge ornamental arch Torala leads one to the Sabha Mandapa, which is open on all sides. And this fashion is seen in the Western and Central India temples. Okay. Now we will see East India. तो East India में North East Bengal और उड़ीसा के temples आते हैं. And they have a distinct feature, and the history of architecture in Northeast and Bengal is hard to study because number of ancient buildings in those regions are renovated. तो अभी कुछ रहा नहीं, because of these invasions and all those things. Yeah, then what we see is there is a terracotta which is seen as the main medium of construction, and in Assam we have many temples like the one at the Parthwatia near Tejpur, which was a 6th century sculpted door frame. Okay, then not much is here. Then you must be knowing of Kamakhya Devi. So Kamakhya Devi temple is very famous in Assam. Yeah, it's a Shakti Peeth, and it was built in 17th century. Now we move towards Bengal. In Bengal we have some temples which are the Pala style, because there was a ruling dynasty between the 9th and the 11th century there, and mainly these were named after the Sena kings. So that's the and these Palas were celebrated patrons of Buddhist monastery sites also. और the Buddhist architecture है, उनको वांगा स्टाइल कहते हैं, वांगा स्टाइल. Okay, the Siddheshwara Mahadev temple in Burdwan, it was famous recently for some kind of rites. Yeah, and it has a large amalaka and is an example of early Pala style. Not that important. Okay. So these are basically the Bengal style. You see the pictures how it is a typical sloping or carving side of the bamboo roof of the Bengali hut. So this was basically seen in the temples too in this region. Okay, now we'll towards the Kalinga architecture in Odisha. So the Kalinga architecture may there are 3 orders like Rekapida, Pidaduela and Kakarduela. So not that important to be remembered, but this is the basic feature. And we have various temples here like the ancient Tribhuneshwar temple, then the Jagannath Puri, then the Sun temple at the Konark. So these are basically examples of Kalinga architecture style, and these are basically of the Nagara order. And the Shikhara is called as the Deul in Odisha, and the Mandapas in Odisha are called as Jagamohanas. Okay, this is where the entertainment and dance takes place. And Odisha temple में usually outer walls मिलते हैं हमको. So the first Odisha temple we are going to see is the Sun temple at Konark. गुजरात का मोधेरा का Sun temple था. This one is the Black Pagoda Sun temple, and what we see is there is a Ratha, and this Ratha has 12 pairs of enormous wheels sculpted with spokes and hubs. So this they say that the sun god is having a chariot, and these are the 12 pairs of wheels which this chariot has, and this chariot are having 8 horses. At the entrance we see this magnificent structure, and the whole temple resembles to be a chariot. Okay, ऊपर से आप लोग एरियल व्यू देखेंगे तो ऐसा लगेगा कि this is a chariot. Okay, and this is what basically it is. And now we'll move towards Jagannath temple which is in Puri. तो ये जगन्नाथ टेम्पल पुरी का जो है इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ द 4 धाम यात्रा. सो 4 धाम यात्रा में बद्रीनाथ, द्वारका, पुरी और रामेश्वरम आता है. So it is expected that a Hindu should do all this pilgrimage in one's lifetime. Okay, and the idol of Jagannath is made up of wood, and it is ceremoniously replaced every 12 or 19 years by using secret trees. तो पिछले साल ही हुआ था, और उस फेस्टिवल को नबकलेश्वर ऐसा कुछ बोलते हैं. तो ये बेसिकली क्यों होता था, क्योंकि जो इस्लामिक रूलर्स आते थे और they used to loot the Puri temple, and to protect the idol what the people used to do is they replace the main idol with fake idols, so the idols are protected. So this tradition of Nabakileshwara, that is replacing these idols every 12 and 19 years, is seen. And the basic feature of Jagannath Puri temple is that it is the first temple where we see a brother and a sister in the temple. Like we have the sister of Lord Krishna and the brother of Lord Krishna, and all three of them are in this Jagannath Puri temple. So this was basically constructed by King Anantavarman in the 12th century, and he was a Eastern Ganga. He belonged to the Eastern Ganga dynasty. Okay, and this temple is famous for annual Ratha Yatra, that's the chariot festival, and that is basically about it. Then we have many temples in the hilly regions like the Kumaon, Garhwal, Himachal, Kashmir. So even they have a distinct architecture. Like there is a Hidimba temple which is in Kullu Manali. So if you visit there, then you will be shown the Hidimba temple. So Hidimba was basically the wife of Bhima. And in Kashmir we see temples which are made up of wood, and they also have some kind of distinct architectural feature. And now this was basically about Nagara style temples. Now we move towards the Dravida style temple, that is the southern India architecture. So Nagara style में the Dravida temple is enclosed with a compound wall. देखो नगरा स्टाइल में अपने को कंपाउंड वॉल ज़्यादा मिलती नहीं थी, बट इन द्रविड़ा टेम्पल देयर इज अ कंपाउंड वॉल. So the front wall has an entrance gateway which is very elaborate and is called as the Gopuram, and the shape of the main temple is called the Vimana. Okay, and this Vimana is a tower kind of a thing. It's a stepped pyramid that rises up geometrically rather than the carving shikhara of North India. In South India, the word shikhara is used for crowning element at the top of the temple, which is usually shaped like a stupika, small stupika or an octagonal cupola. Okay, and Northern India में हम लोग को entrance में मिथुनास मिलते थे, या फिर river goddesses like Ganga and Yamuna used to be there. But in the Dravida temple architecture, we see Dwarpalas or the keepers who are guarding the temple. Okay, and there is a large water reservoir or a temple tank enclosed in this complex where you can give a dubki. Okay, and subsidiary shrines are also there along with the main temple tower. And this is basically about the Dravida style. While in the north we had seen multiple shikharas rising together as a cluster, which is not much popular in the Dravida style. And at some of the most sacred temples in South India, the main temple is which the Garbhagriha is situated, in fact is one of the smallest towers. So South India where the Garbhagriha, where it is situated, the tower is the smallest one. But unlike in north, the Garbhagriha was the tallest tower. Okay, and this is because it is usually the oldest part of the temple. And when the population and the size of the town associated with the temple increased, we see that a new boundary wall was built around the temple. Okay, like an example can be of the Srirangam temple at Tiruchirappalli, which has mainly 7 concentric rectangular enclosure walls, which each with a gopuram. The outermost is the oldest, while the tower right in the center housing the Garbhagriha is the oldest. Okay, and there are various shapes of the Dravida temples. Like we have the Kuta, which is a square shape. Then we have the Shala, that is the rectangular shape. Then the Grajaprishta, which is the elliptical shape. The Vritta, that is circular. Ashastra, which is octagonal. Not that important, won't be asked, but still. So Dravida temple architecture is divided into 5 styles. So one is the Pallava style, which is very rich. Then Chola style, which is again very rich. The Pandya style, very again rich. Vijayanagara style, which brings in the features of Persian architecture, and the Madura style. Okay, now we'll start with Pallava style. The Pallava style is basically where we see in the Andhra region and the Tamil Nadu region, and this was basically around the 12th, 2nd century onwards. So again in Pallava styles there are different types, and this Pallava's early buildings were rock cut, while the later ones were structural ones, and the early buildings were generally attributed to Mahendra Varman, who was the contemporary of the Chalukyan king Pulakeshin II of Karnataka. So these rock cut temples, which we see basically were built in the form of rathas or mantapas. So these rathas were small shrines. Basically, ratha means a chariot, but here it is a shrine, and yeah, we see in Mamalapuram, which is in Tamil Nadu, Mahalbalipuram, which is also called as Mamalapuram, where we have this Ratha style temples, and this was basically built by Narasimha Varman I in 640 CE. So the shore temple at Mahabalipuram is very famous, and it's a structural temple. Right? The shore temple is a structural temple, but the rathas were rock cut temples. And we have the temple which is facing to the east towards the sea, and has 3 shrines, east and west to Shiva, and the middle is Vishnu. Okay, and this is unusual because temples generally have a single main shrine and not 3 areas of worship. So that's different about the shore temple. And in the compound there is the evidence of a water tank, an early example of a gopuram, and several other images. Okay, there is even a Nandi there, and over centuries erosion के वजह से it's it has suffered disfiguration. Okay, and now we'll move towards the 4 groups of the Pallava temple architecture. So first is the Mahendra Varman group, and these are basically the rock cut temples, and we find it at many places as shown. Then we have the Narasimha or the Mamala group. Here we see the 5 rathas, which are popularly known as the Pancha Pandava rathas. So in the figure which we have seen in the picture, these are the 5 rathas, and these are named after the 5 Pandavas. So there is a Nakula Sahadeva Rath, the Bhima Rath, the Dharma Raja Rath, the Arjuna Rath, and the Draupadi Rath. So from left to the right, left is Draupadi, and accordingly it's. And the Arjuna Rath, as we are seeing in the picture, so this was basically the Mamala style where Rathas was there. And third group is of the Rajasimha group. So this group was under Narasimha Varman II, was also known as Rajasimha I. So the second group was Narasimha Varman I, now it's Narasimha Varman II, and he introduced structural temples and Gopura style Pallava architecture. So the Kailashnath temple at Kanchi and the shore temple at Mahabalipuram are examples of structural type, and it was built by Narasimha Varman II, also known as Rajsimha. And nextly is the Nandivaram group, and the architecture is mainly under the Pallava king who is name is Nandivarman Pallava, and various temples like the Vaikunda Perumal temple, Tirunavalli, then Mukteshwara temple. So this was basically about the Pallava style of painting, architecture. And now we move towards the Cholas. In the Cholas we see in front, this is the Brihadeshwara temple. So this is the best example of Chola temple architecture, and it was built by Raja Rajeshwara. So Raja Chola I was the guy who built it, and it is the largest and the tallest of all Indian temples, and it was completed around 1009. So the temple is a pyramidal multi-storied Vimana which rises from a massive 70 meters, topped by a monolithic shikara and a kalasha on the top. By itself is about 3 meters and 8 centimeters in height. The main deity of the temple is Shiva, and it's a 2-story sanctum, Remember it was 1009. At that time it was built. The painted murals and the sculptures are decorated on the walls of surrounding the sanctum. It's a nice place to visit. Uh, this was basically about Chola temple architecture, and there are many other temples built under Chola architecture. So Gangaikonda Choleshwara temple is also there, which is also famous and which was built by Rajendra. Okay, so these two temples are main important temples as far as Chola architecture is concerned. Now we'll move towards the Vesara style or the Deccan temple architecture, and in the Deccan region we see a hybridized style which is a mixture of Nagara and Dravida architecture, and under this Vesara type we see that it became popular around 7th century AD. So basically under this comes the Chalukyan temples. So Chalukyan temples can be classified into rocket halls and structural temples, just like we saw in the Pallava style, and some sculpted monuments are seen which are excavated at Aihole, Badami, Patadakkal and Mahakuta. So all these places are in Karnataka, and the Aihole is known as termed as the cradle of Indian architecture. Just like Athens is called as the cradle of Western civilization, Aihole is called as the cradle of Indian architecture. Badami architecture style is called as the Vesara style or the Chalukya style, and the Chalukya style mainly originated in Aihole and Badami and were perfected in Patadakkal and Mahakuta. Okay, so first example we'll see is the Ravanaphadi cave in Aihole. This was excavated one. So this Ravanaphadi, just remember it. It's related to Chalukya style. It's a early one, and basically the important sculpture which is seen is of Nataraja. So see, carefully see the image. The Nataraja is not the normal Shiva we see. See the head which is there of the Nataraja. See the elongated torso. The head is very high. The garments are markers of the Western Chalukyan style, and there are 10 feet as we are seeing in this figure. Next is Ladakhan temple at Aihole. So this is again a temple dedicated to Shiva, and built in 5th century, and this temple is named after Ladakhan, who turned this temple into his residence for a short period. And basically it's inspired from wooden roofed temple of the hills. Yeah. And now we'll move towards the Durga temple at Aihole. This is basically predominantly a feature of Dravida with Nagara style, and Ladakhan temple is located to its south. Okay, and now the temple at Pattadakkal. So this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it includes 10 temples along with a giant temple. And in Pattadakkal we see a fusion of various architectural styles. So out of the 10 temples, 4 are Dravida, 4 are Nagara, and 1 is Jain temple. So we see there is a fusion here of both Nagara and Dravida style, basically in the Papanatha temple. So 4 Dravida, 4 Nagara, 1 Jain temple, and 1 Papanatha, which is the fusion of both. So that's a rich complex, Pattadakkal complex, and hence it is a World Heritage Site. The Jain temple was built by the Rashtrakutas in this 9th century, and the Virupaksha temple at Pattadakkal is also known as Sri Lokeshwara Mahasila Prasada, which was built by Lok Mahadevi, the queen of the Chalukya king Vikramaditya II. And this was basically to commemorate her husband's victory over the Pallavas of Kanchipuram, and it closely resembles the Kailashnath temple at Kanchipuram. And it represents the fully developed and a perfect stage of the Dravida architecture. So remember, Virupaksha temple is at Pattadakkal, and it's a part of this complex. Now we will see the structures built by the Rashtrakutas, and basically Rashtrakutas belong to the Deccan region, and the Ellora, we find the Kailashnath temple at Ailora, which is the best and the best temple which was built. And this temple was built of a single rock, they say, and the construction started from the top to the bottom. So the Shikhara, it is where the cutting down of rocks started. So it was basically a tale goes that the king's wife wanted to see the temple, and she had done some vrat that unless and until she will see the top of the temple, she won't do something. So the king was smart. He started the temple building from the top. So, however, this is the best type, and nextly we will see the Hoysala's temple architecture. And with the waning of the Chola and the Pandya power, the Hoysalas of Karnataka grew in prominence in the south, and they were the important patrons centered at Mysore. So the main temples of the Hoysala are Bellur, Halebid and Somnathapuram. So the main characteristic feature of this temple is the growing complexity, with so many projecting angles emerging from previously straightforward square temples. So earlier temples were basically square temples, but Hoysala temples have a distinct type which looks like a star, as shown in the figure. So the plan looks like a star. It's known as the stellate plan, and this was usually made out of soft stone. Now the temples at Halebid of Karnataka is also known as the Hoysala Ishwara temple, and it is built up of dark schist stone by the Hoysala king Vishnu Vardhala in 1150. Okay, it's basically dedicated to Shiva as a Latraja, and it contains a large hall for a mandapa to facilitate music and dance. Okay, and this temple features a procession of hundreds of elephants with their mahouts. No two elephants are in the same position. So you see, there are 100 temples and no two are in the same position. So how great it must be. Yeah. Now we'll move towards Vijayanagara temple. So Vijayanagara Empire was basically inspired its architecture from this Hoysala dynasty itself. But it was in the 14th century, and it attracted lot of international travelers. So Niccolo di Conti from the Italian, the Domino Space, the Portuguese, Fernando Nunes, and Duarte Barbosa, and the Afghan Abdul Razzaq. All this came, they gave a vivid account of the beauty of the city, the best of the city. Architecturally, the Vijayanagara synthesizes the centuries of the old Dravida temple architecture with Islamic styles demonstrated by the neighboring sultanates. So Bahami kingdom, you remember, it was broken down into 5, Adil Shahi, Nizam Shahi, and all those. So there was a kind of exchange. So we see flavor of Islamic style in this Vijayanagara architecture, and the sculptures too were consciously seeking to recreate Chola ideals. Occasionally shows the presence of the foreigners. And now we move towards the Buddhist and Jain architectural developments. So basically Buddhism and Jainism grew in 5th century to 14th century, and this was the period when we also see a vibrant Buddhist and Jain architecture. And the Buddhist architecture basically Ashoka के टाइम से चालू हुआ. He built many stupas, he built these pillars. So that is where, and mainly we find it in the Bihar and the Bengal region, and even the Palas of the West Bengal kind of place. So even they were the one who patronized Buddhist architecture. And the second Pala ruler, Dharmapala, established an empire by defeating the powerful Rajput Pratihara. So Dharmapala is the guy who consolidated the empire, and he built various architectural features. And now we'll see Bodh Gaya. So Bodh Gaya जो है, it's a pilgrimage site where Siddhartha, that is Gautam Buddha, attained enlightenment. Okay. So Mahabodhi temple at Bodh Gaya is an important reminder of the brickwork of that time. The first shrine here, located at the base of the Bodhi tree, is said to be constructed by King Asoka. Okay, and the Vedika, that is the fence, was built in the post-Mauryan period, and many sculptures in this temple are dated to the 8th century Pala period. The actual Mahabodhi temple as it stands now is largely a colonial period reconstruction, because there were many attacks and it was destroyed, and so it's basically a reconstruction. And the design of the temple is unusual and is neither Dravida nor Nagara style. Okay, now we'll move towards the Nalanda University, you must be knowing, and it's also called as the Mahavihara. which is a complex of several monasteries of various sizes. And you see the Chinese traveler Yang Sang, who came here, and he is given a vivid information about the Nalanda. And it was basically, foundation was laid by Kumaragupta I in the 5th century AD. And the three Buddhist doctrines, the Theravada, Mahavayana and Vajrayana, were taught in this Nalanda University. So apart from Hinayana, all these three, Hinayana is Theravada, I think so. So basically these three, and the monks came to here from different regions: China, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Burma, etc. Monks and pilgrims who came here take back small sculptures and illustrated manuscripts to their homeland, which resulted in a decisive impact of the art of the Buddhist country in the Buddhist countries of Asia. The sculptural art of Nalanda was developed out of the heavy dependence of the Buddhist Gupta art of Sarnath. Okay, तो सारनाथ आर्ट जो था वो स्कल्पचरल आर्ट हमको नालंदा में मिलता है. And the sculptures were mainly made in stucco, stone and bronze. And in the 9th century, Nalanda school of art sculpture was formed, which was characterized by distinct facial features, body forms or treatment of clothing and jewelry. So the Nalanda sculptures initially depict Buddhist deities of the Mahayana tradition, such as standing Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So in the 11th and 12th century, it emerged as an important tantric center, and the sculptures during that period were dominated by deities of the Vajrayana tradition, such as the Vajra Sharada, a form of Saraswati, the Khasarpana, the Avalokiteshwara. So basically Buddha का जो है ह्यूमन फॉर्म में डिपिक्शन स्कल्पचर में हुआ था. एंड दिस वज्रयाना ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज द तांत्रिक स्कूल ऑफ बुद्धिज्म. सो जैसे तिब्बतन स्कूल जो है वो ज़्यादातर वज्रयाना है, और वहाँ की लोकल देवी जो थी तारा, तो वो तारा को इन्होंने मैरिज कर दिया बुद्धा के साथ. एंड सो दैट इज हाउ इट ब्लेंडेड आउट. And various Brahminical images have been found at Nalanda. Okay, even Brahminical are there. And you know, then Alauddin Khilji's general Bakhtiyar Khilji, he burned down Nalanda, and Nalanda was burning for months, I guess. So viharas, you must be knowing. You see the basic feature of the vihara. Vihara is where you rest, and Chaitya is where you do all your penance. So we see various Buddhist viharas, and Ajanta, Ellora, Nasik, Karle, Kanheri in Mumbai. Bagh and Badami is where we find famous viharas. Okay, now we move towards Jain architecture. Jain architecture is basically इतना फेमस नहीं था, मतलब इतना विविड नहीं है जितना हिंदू और बुद्धिस्ट टेम्पल्स है. So it was kind of a simple thing, like the Ranakpur temple, which was built in white marble, and the main chamber is supported by finely carved columns, totaling 1444. So although there are some examples in Jain temples which are prolific, and the oldest Jain pilgrimage sites are found in Bihar. In the Deccan, some of the most architecturally important Jain sites can be found at Ellora and Aihole in Karnataka, right? And in Karnataka we have Shravana Belagula, the famous statue of Gomateshwara, the granite statue of Lord Bahubali, which stands 18 meters, is the world's tallest monolithic. Monolithic मतलब एक दगड़ से, एक रॉक से बनाया हुआ स्टैचू. तो इट्स वर्ल्ड्स टॉलेस्ट. ओके, फ्री स्टैंडिंग स्ट्रक्चर. सो ये जो बाहुबली, जो गोमतेश्वर श्रावण बेलागोला का है, तो ये जो थे, ये जो बुद्धिस्ट फॉलोअर थे, और इन्होंने काफ़ी जैन फॉलोअर थे, और इन्होंने काफ़ी पेनेंस किया था खड़े रह के. वो भी तो उनके ऊपर पेड़ उगे, झाड़ उगे, उनको इंसेक्ट्स ने तंग किया, कुछ किया, लेकिन वो बिल्कुल हिले नहीं, और उन्होंने अपनी तपस्या को जारी रखा. तो उनकी याद में ये बड़ा टेम्पल स्कल्पचर बनाया गया है. एंड इट्स अ मोनोलिथिक फ्री स्टैंडिंग स्ट्रक्चर, एंड एवरी ईयर देयर इज अ फेस्टिवल which is famous among the Jain people. And this monolithic structure was commissioned by Chamundaraya, who was the general-in-chief and prime minister of the Ganga kings of Mysore. And Gujarat and Rajasthan also have some magnificent Jainism structures. and the temple at Mount Abu, that's the Dilwara temple, was constructed by Vimal Shah. And one can see a complex of temples carved of white marble here, and the temples are famous for its unique patterns on very ceilings and a graceful bracket fixed along the dome ceiling. Okay, so that's a basic feature. And now the elements of the architecture are like, we see the pillars over there, white marble is being used, and there are richly carved brackets as seen in the figure. And that's basically about Jainism architecture. So thank you very much. I know this is a kind of a complex topic, and but you know, UPSC has a knack of asking something which is boring to us. So please prepare it. Please like, comment and share this video. Thank you very much.